Welcome to Quiz Moose. Are you smarter than a Canadian moose? Let's find out. And yes, that was a moose call.
Get ready to laugh, eh? It is time for a fun and fast Canadian comedy quiz. From classic legends to modern stars. Can you prove you know Canada's funniest icons? You have just 5 seconds per question, so think fast. Let's get started. Which Canadian city is often called the comedy capital of Canada and has produced the most stand-up comedians per capita? Vancouver, Montreal, Toronto, or Calgary? Montreal is the correct answer. Montreal's Just for Laughs Festival, founded in 1983, is the world's largest international comedy festival. It's launched the careers of countless comedians and attracts over 2 million attendees annually. SCTV, one of Canada's greatest comedy exports, stood for what? Second City Television, Southern Canadian Television, Sketch Comedy Television, or Standard Canadian TV? The correct answer is Second City Television. SCTV ran from 1976 to 1984 and launched the careers of John Candy, Martin Short, Eugene Levy, Andrea Martin, Rick Moranis, and Catherine O'Hara, arguably the greatest comedy ensemble in TV history. Which beloved Canadian comedian and actor starred in Cool Runnings, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, and Uncle Buck? Dan Aykroyd, Martin Short, John Candy, or Mike Myers? John Candy is the correct answer. John Candy, born in Newmarket, Ontario, was one of Hollywood's most beloved comedic actors. Tragically, he died in 1994 at just 43 years old while filming Wagons East in Mexico. Which sketch comedy show put Canadian comedy on the map, airing on CBC from 1989 to 1994? This hour has 22 minutes. The Kids in the Hall, Royal Canadian Air Farce, or Trailer Park Boys? The correct answer is The Kids in the Hall. The Kids in the Hall. Dave Foley, Bruce McCulloch, Kevin McDonald, Mark McKinney, and Scott Thompson were discovered by Lorne Michaels. Their surreal humor and drag performances were revolutionary for Canadian TV. What is the name of the hugely popular Canadian comedy show set in a trailer park in Nova Scotia? Schitt's Creek, Trailer Park Boys, Corner Gas, or Little Mosque on the Prairie? Trailer Park Boys is the correct answer. Trailer Park Boys, set at the fictional Sunnyvale Trailer Park in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia, premiered in 2001. It became one of Netflix's most watched Canadian originals and spawned movies, live tours, and merchandise worldwide. Which Canadian comedian created and starred in Schitt's Creek alongside his real-life father, Seth Rogen, Norm Macdonald, Dan Levy, or Russell Peters? The correct answer is Dan Levy. He created Schitt's Creek with his father Eugene Levy, also of SCTV fame. The show had a standout night at the 2020 Emmy Awards, taking home 7 major comedy awards. Norm Macdonald was a cast member on SNL and was known for his deadpan delivery as anchor of which recurring segment? The News at 9, Weekend Update, The Cold Open, or News Flash? Weekend Update is the correct answer. Norm Macdonald, born in Quebec City, hosted Weekend Update from 1993-1998. He was famously fired reportedly for making too many O.J. Simpson jokes. Many comedians regard him as an important figure in stand-up comedy. Which Canadian comedian is famous for his Jiminy Glick role and Three Amigos, Father of the Bride, and his Emmy-winning SNL work? John Candy, Dave Foley, Dave Thomas, or Martin Short? The correct answer is Martin Short. Martin Short was born in Hamilton, Ontario, and got his big break on SCTV before joining SNL. His character Ed Grimley became a cultural icon. In 2015, a stamp of Short was issued by Canada Post. Which Canadian comedian and actor is known for his role in Knocked Up, Superbad, and Pineapple Express? Scott Thompson, Seth Rogen, Russell Peters, or Tom Green? Seth Rogen is the correct answer. He was born in Vancouver, BC in 1982. He began performing stand-up comedy at age 13. His childhood bedroom in Vancouver was reportedly the inspiration for several scenes in Superbad. Corner Gas, a Canadian television sitcom created by Brent Butt, was set in which fictional Saskatchewan town? Carrot River, Dog River, Jackfish, or Moose Jaw? The correct answer is Dog River. Corner Gas ran from 2004 to 2009, and it averaged 1 million viewers per episode. Creator Brent Butt based the show on his childhood in Teesdale, Saskatchewan. The show was revived as an animated series in 2018. Canadian comedian Howie Mandel is best known as the host of which American game show? The Price is Right, Deal or No Deal, Family Feud, or Wheel of Fortune? Deal or No Deal is the correct answer. Howie Mandel from Toronto has hosted Deal or No Deal since 2005. He has OCD and mysophobia, fear of germs, which is why he famously bumps fists instead of shaking hands, a habit that predated COVID-19 by decades. Which Canadian comedian and actor played Barney Rubble in the live-action Flintstones movies? Jim Carrey, Rick Moranis, John Candy, or Martin Short? The correct answer is Rick Moranis. He was born in Toronto and starred in Ghostbusters, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, and Strange Brew. He retired from acting in 1997 after his wife died to raise his children, and fans were overjoyed when he made a comeback in 2020. The sketch comedy duo Bob and Doug McKenzie, famous for Take Off, were characters on which show? The Kids in the Hall, SCTV, Royal Canadian Air Force, or This Hour Has 22 Minutes. The correct answer is SCTV, Bob and Doug McKenzie. Rick Moranis and Dave Thomas were created as a joke to fill 2 minutes of Canadian content time on SCTV. Their 1981 album Great White North went platinum, and their song Take Off reached 16 on the Billboard Hot 100. Tom Green, known for outrageous stunts and surreal humor, hails from which Canadian city? Ottawa, Edmonton, Calgary, or London, Ontario? The correct answer is Ottawa. Tom Green started on Rogers Cable in Ottawa before his MTV show made him globally famous in the late 1990s. He was one of the first YouTube pioneers, broadcasting from his home studio long before streaming was mainstream. Which Canadian comedic actor famously voiced the grumpy green ogre Shrek? Seth Rogen, Will Arnett, John Candy, or Mike Myers? Mike Myers is the correct answer. Myers originally recorded the entire first movie in his natural speaking voice before asking to re-record it all with a Scottish accent. Which Canadian comedian became a global superstar with his stand-up routine featuring the catchphrase, "Somebody's gonna get a hurt real bad"? Norm Macdonald, Russell Peters, Dave Thomas, or Tom Green? The correct answer is Russell Peters. He was the first comedian to get a Netflix stand-up special, releasing Notorious in 2013. Which Canadian actor was known for his incredible voice work on The Simpsons as characters like Troy McClure and Lionel Hutz? Phil Hartman, Dave Thomas, Rick Mercer, or Martin Short? Phil Hartman is the correct answer. Hartman also co-wrote the screenplay for the movie Pee-wee's Big Adventure alongside Paul Reubens. Which Canadian late-night host spent 12 years as a correspondent on The Daily Show before launching Full Frontal? Chelsea Handler, Samantha Bee, Joan Rivers, or Lily Singh? The correct answer is Samantha Bee, born in Toronto. Samantha Bee holds the record for being the longest-serving regular correspondent in The Daily Show history. Dan Aykroyd teamed up with John Belushi to form which legendary musical comedy duo? The Blues Brothers, the Coneheads, the Smothers Brothers, or Tenacious D? The Blues Brothers is the correct answer. Dan's interest in ghosts isn't random. His great-grandfather was involved in spiritualism, which heavily influenced his ideas for Ghostbusters. Will Arnett, a native of Toronto, voiced the titular character in which critically acclaimed animated dark comedy? Rick and Morty, BoJack Horseman, Family Guy, or Archer? The correct answer is BoJack Horseman. Arnett is deeply embedded in voice acting. He is also the incredibly gravelly, hilarious voice of Lego Batman. How did you do? Did you ace the quiz, or did Canada's comedy legend stump you? Share your score in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and come back for more fun quizzes on Quiz Moose. See you next time!